and working as a personal trainer for the past 3 years up until this point, the number one question I'll get asked without failure is, what's your favorite split? What's the best workout routine to get jacked? What's the movement I'm missing? Why am I not building the physique I want? And my answer tends to shock people. And the truth of the matter is, it really doesn't matter. I want to show you why in this video and show you my system that I've used for myself over the past 6 years and for all of my clients to get jacked and build the physiques we want with relatively little time invested in the gym, without wasting 3 hours on the treadmill, without any crazy diets, really just honing in on what matters. And so I guess I'm making this video for 2 reasons. Number one would be to answer the age-old question, what's your favorite split? What's the best workout routine? What should I do when I go to the gym to get jacked? Number two, because I'm just so tired of seeing guys waste so much time in the gym and not get the results they're looking for. So I want to clear both of those things up and really just give you the only thing you need to streamline in your approach to getting the gains, getting stronger, and building the physique you want. Because I think if you ask a majority of guys why they're lifting, it's probably so that people acknowledge that they lift, right? They want to be the guy with the big chest, the broad shoulders, the bicep veins. I think at the end of the day, a lot of guys just want to be that guy, and that's cool. It is cool being acknowledged for your work that you put in the gym. It's not cool wasting a bunch of time in the gym and not getting what you want out of it and then getting frustrated and falling off. So really, without further ado, I want to get straight into my approach. And just before we get into the meat and potatoes of everything, I want to go over my credentials and why I have so much faith in this system. My clients aside, this was my starting point before I started lifting. I had a relatively emasculated frame. It wasn't anything physically impressive at all, or really impressive in any regard of my life. But after lifting for the past 6 years and completely transforming, even in the first 8 months of me lifting, this system has proven great, whether I was super busy and digging into my business and working really hard and only had 4, 5, 6 hours a week to dedicate towards the gym, or whether I had, all the time in the world and I was just sleeping all day and eating like crazy and just being a bodybuilder and going to the gym all day. So this system works is my point. I am the living proof of that. My life completely transformed after I got jacked. Like I was saying earlier, I think a lot of guys just want to look like this, but they don't. And they're not quite sure how, and they kind of get caught up in the Instagram reels, trendy workouts, do what Joe Rogan's doing. And so I want to get rid of all that noise and just show you guys the exact system you need to build the physique you want starting tomorrow. So you want to look like this, but you don't. And it's something I've dubbed the fat guy on a treadmill hypothesis. And I know that sounds harsh. Here are my credentials, so it is a real thing. I want you guys to practice this next time you go in the gym. Look at the treadmill and observe who's spending the most time on it. And consistently, if you go to the same gym every single day, see who's on the treadmill. It's always going to be probably a heavier set guy. And after you watch this video, you can educate him on why what he's doing is not helping him. But observe him over the next couple months or the next year. See how much his physique changes despite spending hours and hours burning calories and working out on a treadmill. His cardio is getting better, right? He's feeling good. He's working up a sweat, but his physique really won't change. And I want to dive into that reason here because I think it affects more than just the heavier set guys on a treadmill. I think it affects people who think they're getting stuff done in the gym, but aren't seeing progress and are stuck in plateaus and they're not sure why. So 95% of people are doing it wrong. That's a real statistic. No, it's not. But, I think a lot of guys in the gym do miss out on this and they're missing out on a lot of gains. So, it doesn't matter if you're heavy and you're wanting to lose weight, if you're skinny and you're wanting to bulk up, maybe you're skinny fat and you need to recomp. A lot of guys just want this jacked look. Maybe you won't look like this guy here, but that's okay. You want to maximize your physical potential, right? And so we're going to optimize for that goal. But what ends up happening a lot of the time is people say they want this, guys will say they want this physique, but then their actions won't align with their goal. And so they'll waste a bunch of time, they'll waste a bunch of money, and they'll end up in the exact same spot. Maybe you've been stuck here. Maybe you're doing, fancy battle rope workouts that aren't actually doing anything for you. Maybe you're trying to work out with a kettlebell at home and seeing no results and getting frustrated. Or you're trying these restrictive diets that are just absolutely absurd. Or you're wasting a ton of money on supplements and not doing the actual meat and potatoes of what needs to be done. So I think a lot of guys in all aspects of life, but especially in their fitness, get caught up here. And so I want to just bypass all that and get straight to the progress. So I boiled it down to my two-step approach that I just kind of run through in my head, but that I also educate a lot of the guys I work with on to building the physique you want. And it really is as simple as 2 steps. It doesn't matter if you're, wanting to lose 100 pounds. It doesn't matter if you're needing to recomp because you're skinny fat and you have this appearance here in the middle, or maybe you're just skinny and you want to bulk up. This is going to work for absolutely anyone. And it's what I'd have my clients do from the ages of 20 all the way up to 50, 60, 70, even 80 years old, because it works for everyone. As dumb as it sounds, but you'd be surprised at how many people miss this. The first course of action is lifting weights, right? And you might be saying, no, duh, Aiden, I'm going to the gym, I'm working out. How is that going to help me? Well, I want to clarify, right? Muscle growth is just a response to stimulus. So, a lot of guys will waste time with their fancy battle rope workouts that don't actually do anything. They'll waste time doing calisthenics or thinking they're working out doing calisthenics, right? Not to say calisthenics isn't a workout, but it's not going to optimize for this goal here. I can guarantee you this guy did not build his physique doing calisthenics, right? Or maybe they're doing hot yoga and you're working up a sweat, you're exercising. It's good, but it's not really going to move the needle towards what you actually want if you want to build your physique and get jacked, right? And you might be asking yourself why. It's a great workout. I was told to do it by Dana White or whoever, right? And I want to explain why, because there's a big difference between working out and lifting. And so I want to dive into that. And a lot of the times when I explain this to newer clients, they're kind of taken off guard because this is their idea of fitness, right? And this is like for the kind of the freak, meathead, gym bro, bodybuilder guys. But there's a lot to learn from these guys, whether or not they take steroids, because what they're doing is efficiently building the physique they want and building their body how they want. This over here is just kind of a powwow. This isn't really going to move you towards your goal, right? If you want to do push-ups at home, you honestly probably will end up looking like this guy. And I don't want to look like this guy. I'm going to the gym to get jacked and get the gains and get out. Diving into the difference between working out and lifting. But with working out, you're not really going to move the needle on getting where you want to go. You're going to burn a lot of calories on your Apple Watch. You're probably going to keep the same physique because there's not enough stimulus being applied to change. You're going to work up a sweat, but what's going to end up happening is you end up being the fat guy on the treadmill and you're just going to run in circles and circles and circles. And, you might lose weight at this stage. Maybe you lose 10, 20, 30, 50 pounds, but you don't really have a hedge against gaining that back. So what often ends up happening is as soon as your activity drops off, you're going to gain that weight back. Right? And so now let's observe the difference in lifting, right? Which is the path that you want to take, the path of most resistance, which is funny. When you lift, you're actively changing your body composition. Stimulus is being applied to your muscles. And so that is what's going to cause your muscles to adapt and grow and get bigger and give you this toned look. Toned look right here would not be achieved if you just spent all day, doing push-ups on the ground and going to your hot yoga classes. The other thing that ends up happening is your metabolism speeds up. Right? And what do I mean by that? I mean, the more muscle you have, the more of a thermogenic effect your body will have. And so you'll actually keep more weight off and you can sit at heavier weights, but stay leaner because you've built the muscle mass. Your BMR goes up. If you guys have ever tracked calories, right? You actually are afforded more calories the more muscle you have. Again, your glucose regulation goes up. So your body is more efficient with its insulin and with glucose shuttling. It'll actually move that around better. And it's probably one of the most effective ways to monitor your glucose and regulate that. Again, think about it on a body fat percentage chart, right? You can be the guy on the treadmill who's stuck here in the 20 to 24, even the 25 to 30%. And you're not going to get this chiseled look by just burning a bunch of calories every single workout. You're going to get it by lifting weights and working in the gym. That was a lot of information. To recap, the biggest thing to take away is that you need to focus on lifting first if you want real body composition changes and you want to get jacked. Again, I don't care if you want to lose 100 pounds. I don't care if you're the skinny guy and you want to bulk up and finally build your shoulders and fill out your shirt. You need to focus on lifting because of the health benefits and because it's going to be the only thing that's going to provide you with enough stimulus to grow. It's honestly a necessity for life. It should be basic health hygiene. I don't care if you're 21 years old. I don't care if you're 51. You need to be lifting. Now you might be sitting there wondering, of course, I've been lifting, or thank you for the clarification, Aiden. How do I get jacked? How do I actually make the gains I want? Right? And so I broke this down into 2 principles. Number 1, lifting for strength and myofibril density or getting stronger. And number 2, lifting for hypertrophy, building size or sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. Those are big words. The big difference is you're going to lift one way and you're going to get really strong and build density in your muscle and really fill it in. And the other thing is you're going to lift for size and you're going to get a pump and you're going to actually inflate the muscle and get bigger. First key to this, and a lot of people miss this, is lifting for strength. They think they're too old. They think they're not capable of it. And we're going to get into that later. But the number one thing you guys have to be doing is lifting for strength. and compound lifts are the fastest way to scale. I'm tired of hearing the propaganda about bench press being bad for your shoulders. It's just straight up not true. It's the fastest way you're going to scale strength and probably the simplest compound lift. There should be no reason you shouldn't be barbell benching. If your shoulder hurts, we're going to get into that later, but work backwards and figure out why your shoulder is hurting. Talking about things like squats, your bench press, your deadlifts, your split squats, your overhead press, your chin-ups, and your dips. Work these in the 1 to 6 rep range. Make sure you're trying to progress week over week. You're either adding weight or you're following some sort of strength progression. Focus on a full range of motion every single time you lift. That should be rule number 1 if you want to stay pain-free and have longevity in the gym. And then focus on your form, not the weight you're moving, at least starting out. Once you get a little bit more intermediate, then start focusing on the weight. But initially, focus on your form. This is huge. Compound lifts are what so many guys miss out on that will absolutely take their physique from being, a 5, 6 out of 10 to the next level. That will build you that elite level of muscular density, right? Building the density in your muscle gives you this kind of hard, dense look that you can't really achieve through just pump training or any other metrics. I can already hear the groans coming from my older audience. The lift, they're too old to lift heavy, barbell squats hurt their back. And I can acknowledge some of that, but to a certain degree, you have to figure out what's causing that and how can you regress the weight as little as possible and not cause pain. Because ideally, your goal then should be building your body enough to work into these. If you're having pain, it just means you're not ready yet, so you need to regress. A very simple way to think about this, the barbell squat is just the king of the squat movement pattern, right? So if you have trouble squatting, just regress it. Maybe you do a leg press, right? Don't stay there forever and don't get stuck and plateau there, but regress if you need to and then try and build back into your squat. Second part to getting jacked, you need to focus on building size in your muscle. You need to body build and chase pumps until you hit failure. Right? This is going to be the best way to build that size in your muscle. The strength is going to give you that density and really upgrade your physique in that way. This is what's going to allow you to have more size in your muscle bellies and actually give you that jacked look that fills out your shirts, that builds your vascularity, that complements the look that you're going for, right? And so this should be trained in the 8 to 20 rep range. You should chase failure. Again, you should chase failure on strength, but it's way easier to chase failure when you're training for hypertrophy. Beat your weight or reps every single week so you're making sure you're progressively overloading. Work through a full range of motion every single time you lift, and then focus on your form first. But if you're giving out and you're hitting mechanical failure, then cheat a little bit and swing and get a few more reps in. Right? These are things like dumbbell movements. It's going to be cable movements, gym machines. This is straightforward. I think a lot of guys end up doing this and neglect strength work as opposed to the opposite. So you want to make sure you have the best of both worlds. And we'll break down a routine later, but make sure that you're really training till failure here. A lot of guys just kind of go till it burns and do the same weight every single week. That's a great way to make sure you never change and you end up as a fat guy on the treadmill. So make sure you're chasing failure every single time you train. You might be asking, Aiden, what does this all mean? How's this going to get me jacked? Let me show you because we're going to put it all together, right? This is the perfect lifting framework. Ideally, every single time you go to the gym, the first 20 minutes should be spent progressing your compound movement. Now, it might not be a squat. Maybe it's a split squat. Maybe it's an overhead press. Maybe it's a chin up. It doesn't matter. You want to spend the first 20 minutes working through strength sets, 1 to 6 reps for a higher amount of sets and progressing that. The next 40 minutes should be spent getting a pump, right? So let's say you spent 20 minutes doing squats. The next 40 minutes should be spent, doing maybe a hack squat, doing some RDLs. Do the work that you can do in a higher rep range. It's going to stimulate your muscles and allow you to build the physique you want. And you can really hone in and tighten up certain body parts that you want to work on. It should only take you an hour total to get jacked. I've been lifting for an hour for the past 2 years in my personal training career when I didn't have a lot of time. And even now when I spend a lot of time, making content or working on my business, it should not take you longer than an hour. If your workout's taking you longer than an hour, you're taking too long, you're doing something wrong. So this is just breaking it down set by set. Let's say you're doing 4 or 5 sets per lift, right? You'll have your warm-up sets. It's moderately heavy. There's no failure involved. You have more in the tank. You know that. You're just kind of getting the muscles warm. You're getting some blood flow. Work into your working sets. This is heavier. This is where maybe it's on the lat pull down. You do 180 for 10 and you get a clean 10. The last rep was a little iffy, but you have more in the tank. You're going to do your top set, and this is where you're going to hit failure, and this is where you're going to get the most growth and what you need to chase every single time. Because you're going to take that 180, you're going to bump it to 200, and you're only going to get 6. Great. You just failed. That's okay. You want to try and beat this every single week when you lift. And what I like to do is top set and then immediately into a drop set, or maybe I'll rest a little bit. So hit your top set, hit failure. You hit failure. You'll feel it when you do. And then I drop the weight a few pins, and then I'll just burn out and do as many as I can. That has always worked super well and is super time efficient for me. That's really everything from a top-down approach. I hope this was a good reminder for some of you guys, and I hope this was an eye-opening experience for a lot of you other guys who are wanting to build the physique you want but not quite sure what to listen to. I promise if you stick with this routine where you're lifting heavy and you're chasing pumps every time you work out, you will get the physique you want as long as your nutrition is in place. That's actually the next video I want to make. I want to talk about holistic nutrition made simple. So if you guys want to see that video, tell me in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the things. Thank you guys for watching.